DJ JMR.
Thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. That was a very scary introduction. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to this edition of Let's Talk TRiO. You are listening live. We're broadcasting live from the campus of Eastern New Mexico University. This particular show is going to be themed around a little bit on Halloween. We do have a lot of Halloween-themed tracks pulled up for you guys. So today we'll be playing some of that music. Joining me today for Let's Talk TRiO, it's Mr. Ed Worden from the Santa Fe Community College TRiO Student Support Services Program, and he's currently serving as the president-elect of TRiO New Mexico. So, Rod, right off the bat, I mean, this is the week of Halloween. We're here.
It's kind of scary.
It's scary?
It's kind of scary. I've already been receiving pictures and kind of seeing creepy looking people walk around. I don't know if it's because of Halloween. I don't know if it's their norm to walk around and look kind of creepy. But I'm looking at some of the houses around here, and I see the Capasig house, and they have a nice little, I don't know what it is, hanging from the ceiling or hanging from
There's a
the
lot
columns.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that as you know, my wife Melinda really loves Halloween.
I've heard
she loves this time of year, and we're actually in this whole thing. We're paying an homage to two things. So what we did is we decorated first the house. The outside of the house looks creepy. The car garage door, we painted a thing saying "Do not open." Dead inside, of course, an homage to the TV series The Walking Dead. And then
now, was that inspired by you or your wife? Who's
no, my wife.
Dead?
You know, she's a Walking Dead fanatic. She was on board with the idea, and I was just like excited about it. I'm like, it's a very good idea. And then she decided to go ahead and we're gonna do another homage to a film, and it's gonna be from Zombieland. So if you stop by our house, we will be handing out Twinkies for a survival guide. And we'll also be
really?
It's in the movie.
They're handing out. I've never seen the movie.
We're not going to spoil it for you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you must know that DJ JMR and DJ Brother Rod has a lot of inside jokes.
We do have a lot of inside jokes.
I will spare you the story about Twinkies. However, you shouldn't have slipped that one up on me. You're wrong for that one. You're wrong. Anyway, proceed, sir.
So we're not only are we handing out Twinkies, but we are decorating our new vehicle that we just got back in August. We are painting a number 3 on it. That's a reference to Zombieland. We're painting with that painted number 3. So, and a couple more surprises that I'm not going to share on the air. But our house is definitely going to be ready for Halloween.
Now that's over the top for me, but I'm excited for you. Send me pictures. Please be sure if you can record people coming up to your house and they play the part, they get scared.
Sure.
And all this kind of thing. I would just love to see that.
We'll try to do a recording and see how far we can get with that. In addition, Rod, I just wanted to share with you and share with our audience.
Sure.
We had a blast going over to a little Halloween party for the kids. They had a blast. So we just played guests to a certain couple over there, and it was just a blast. It was a great time for the kids. As you know, my youngest Javi.
Juicy, a.k.a. Juicy.
A.k.a.
Yes,
Juicy.
I know Juicy.
He was going as Wolverine, but decided 10 minutes into the party, he decided to want to be a pirate. So he took off his entire Wolverine outfit and decided to go as a pirate. So you can just imagine how difficult that was for us trying to figure him out and say, okay, so are you Wolverine or you're a pirate now?
Now, DJ JMR, I recall a special moment one morning. You decide to show me or include me into this Wolverine video.
Whoa, what Wolverine video? I am not sure what you're talking about.
Wolverine decided to jump in front of a car, and he started twerking. So
a twerking Wolverine? Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with the twerking Wolverine video, now this comes by way of my brother, over in Las Cruces. So shout out to Luis.
Luis.
Go to YouTube, look up Wolverine twerking, and you won't be disappointed. It's a fantastic video to definitely watch. Well, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, as we always start this off, we're going to start off with some music. After a while, we'll bring Mr. Ed Worden from the Santa Fe Community College TRiO Upward Bound, not TRiO Upward Bound. Whereas TRiO Santa Fe Community College, TRiO Student Support Services. There we go. And he'll be joining us here in just a minute. But for now, please enjoy these following tracks. I think we have on the second track, I believe. I'm not too sure. It's I can't remember the band's name, Rod.
I can tell you the band's name.
Can you tell me the band's name?
I'm
setting you up, though.
Only if you come sneak over here so you can get this thing started. Come,
sure,
sir. Come.
Hold on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you will be listening to Damned.
No.
Oh. See, you wrong for that. You did set me up.
I did not set you up.
You just want me to say that on air.
Oh, no. No.
As usual, ladies and gentlemen, you can always anticipate Lifehouse being the opening song for the show. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please prepare your ears for this lovely ear candy. Storm by Light. Or Lifehouse. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you were just listening to Brandy from her 2012 Room 211 album. Song was called So Sick. And before then, you were listening to Lifehouse. Juan, what was that song, Lifehouse? What was it, Juan?
It was called
DJ
Storm.
All right, I'm going to pass this back over to DJ JMR to introduce our interviewee today.
All right, thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. Today we have with you Mr. Ed Worden from the Santa Fe Community College TRiO Student Support Services Program, and he is currently the president-elect of the TRiO New Mexico Association. So on the line with us now is Mr. Ed Worden. Ed, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Juan?
I'm doing well. So just very briefly, Rod, do you have the interview questions pulled up? Do you want to read Mr. Worden's bio there for?
I can do that.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, you like being put on the spot.
Yeah.
I just figured you might.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ed Worden was born in Washington, D.C., or close enough. Ed received his associate's degree in General Studies, Mathematics from Santa Fe Community College. Received 2 bachelor's degrees in 2010 from the University of New Mexico in Philosophy and Evolutionary Anthropology, both magna cum laude, and currently serves as a TRiO coordinator for SSS and SFCC. It is also the president-elect of TRiO New Mexico, familiar with TRiO programs.
All right. Thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. So today we have Mr. Ed Worden. Ed, how are you doing today? You're currently in Roswell, right?
Actually, I got back to Santa Fe late last night.
Oh, you got back to Santa Fe okay. So go ahead.
If I was still in Roswell, I would have come over to join you.
Oh, I think we were sharing in the email that you were in Roswell, and that in my mind, I thought you were still over there for some reason. But anyway, we're glad to have you on air, even calling, or even if you were to drop by. Either way, it's still awesome to have you on air, sir.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right, so we do have a couple questions for you. Just to we've already introduced you to the audience, and we want them to get to know you just a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about the university you attended to get your bachelor's degree?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that it started actually with a dual enrollment course that I took at the College of Santa Fe, and I took one course my senior year in philosophy. I think it was Introduction to Philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is what sparked my interest in going to college. So I went to the community college for 2.5 years before I earned my associate's degree there. And and then I went to UNM, where I really had a hard time choosing what to study because I really was interested in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, of course, couldn't pick one thing. Had to earn 2 separate bachelors to really explore all those interests that I had at that time. So.
Okay. And from what I remember on your bio, you've got your associates in mathematics or general study in mathematics, and then you moved on to the philosophy in evolutionary anthropology. That was quite a change. How did that happen?
Well, it's funny, actually. It wasn't that much of a change. And so I'll tell you a little bit about what happened.
Okay.
Is I studied math in high school. It was really the only thing that I was interested in. And so I studied it a lot. And when I went to college, I thought, oh, perfect. I'll be a math major. I'll get a bachelor's in math, and this will be my trajectory. So that's what I did for the first couple of years. I took every math class that I could get my hands on, and earned an associate's. Of course, we don't have a major in math, so I had to kind of make it up.
Right.
And I took that to UNM thinking, oh, I'm here at the university. I'll continue to pursue math.
Uh-huh.
And I guess what happened was I took an anthropology course my first semester there in evolutionary anthropology.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much math involved in it that I decided, well, this is sort of like applying all these skills to real problems in the world. That's just really interesting. So I want to keep studying math.
Okay. Awesome.
And of course philosophy, if we study it long enough, we find out that, oh, it actually is a whole bunch of math kind of disguised in words, which is a really neat puzzle. So,
okay.
I was really just having fun more than anything, which is, I really got lucky that these two things kind of worked together for me.
Yeah.
Now, I'd have to say, Ed, a few years ago when we were in Santa Fe for the TRiO Day in Santa Fe, and we brought some students up, I remember you did a kind of a meta-philosophical activation with the group, and I was really, really impressed. Can you share with us that side of what you do? Is that something you typically practice in your workshops with your students? Where did all of that come from?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question, Rod. And I remember that TRiO Day. I think sometimes students aren't as interested in it as I am, so it can be difficult to sell them on the idea. But yeah, I do. I have practiced yoga for I want to say close to 14 years now.
Nice.
And really, other than math, that's the only thing I wanted to study when I was in high school. So I got really excited about it. And I was very lucky that my yoga teacher was also my math teacher.
So was there any marriage between the two?
Well, there is. And it's funny because when you're working with students, so often what helps them have breakthroughs in mathematics, especially if they're acquiring a new concept, is mindfulness and being present in the moment, not getting distracted by anxiety of past experiences with fractions, for example. So that's what I found really works is, obviously, we're not doing any yoga, but I try to bring that same sense of mindfulness to my presence with students that I've tried to cultivate.
Well, and I have to say, Ed, that really inspired me because I've really tried to make an initiative to bring in more what I classify as mind activation activities with the students for those same purposes. And I think the awesome thing about the practice is that you get an opportunity to essentially invest an experience for the students, not just for the high school time period, but you really give them a practice to hopefully develop and think about maybe 10, 15 years from that experience. And so I really want to applaud you and really appreciate your efforts and what you did at that meeting in Santa Fe.
Well, thank you, Rod. That's good to hear. Absolutely. And I hope you're having success with your students.
There's a bit of reticence as you experience, but I tell you, just kind of every now and then what we call leaking, just kind of putting the experience out there and allowing the students to kind of get a taste for it, and then you pull back, and then maybe 2 weeks later give them another activity that they'll make the connection. But I won't stop it. Again, I was really impressed by it, and I think it's something that's really needed for the students, something different, to offer something different, and hopefully it's a positive alternative for students, especially those who may have those math anxieties or any other type of academic anxiety. So now I'm going to switch gears on you for just a little bit, because word on the street is you speak 3 different languages.
Well, yeah, it's complicated.
I'm sure it's complicated.
Yeah. See, I really speak only parts of languages that make a whole language. Sometimes, in fact, when I'm searching for a word, I have a hard time thinking of it in English, what that word is, but I can think of it maybe in another language, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's a better way to express yourself. So.
Hey, Ed, don't feel bad. That happens to me often. You know, I consider myself a Spanish fluent speaker.
Me too.
But about, what was it, 4 years ago, my son asked me what lightning meant in Spanish. And for the life of me, I could not remember. Do you know the word for Spanish, Ed? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, and I'm glad you are putting me on the spot because
Well, because
it's going through my mind. I can think of I can think of a lot of words, and
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you the answer because I had to call my mom for this answer. I finally ended up calling my mom and asked her, "Mom, I cannot remember lightning for the life of me. I don't know what it is in Spanish. Can you tell me?" And the word is relámpago.
Oh my goodness!
I was embarrassed after that.
Well, and if I can, if I can share a moment with you.
Sure.
Now, speaking of languages, and I kind of promote this idea that I have my New World Spanish.
Oh, this New World Spanish.
Yeah, this New World Spanish I've come up with. But let me save you that particular story and just tell you that Mr. DJ JMR was experiencing one of these moments as he just shared with you. And I requested that he share with me what was thigh in Spanish.
Oh, gosh.
And when I tell you, it was one of the most funniest experiences I've ever had.
Oh,
because he struggled to come up with the word in Spanish. And so, me being me, I just came up with a word of my own. And I was like, well, Juan, DJ JMR is philanthropist.
And that word does not exist. To my recollection, that word does not exist. I mean, I could be wrong.
And I understood that, but the fact that he got so frustrated and so upset, me knowing that I just made this word up, it was just, you had to been there. That's all I say, you had to been there. So anytime if you just want to kind of get under DJ JMR's skin, just say philanthropist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Anyway,
oh, my gosh. So, yeah, I mean, that's one way to throw me off completely is just making up a new word for a Spanish substitute there. So, Ed, while you were in college, was teaching something you always had in the back of your mind?
Well, sort of. I guess what happened was I went to kind of an alternative high school after I had some trouble adjusting in middle school. I went to a middle school that was plagued with problems, and I really suffered there, and kind of I kind of had to go somewhere else, and so I went to an alternative high school, and what I learned there about education and the philosophy behind education was really laid the groundwork for everything that came after. So when I was looking for student employment, thinking I've got to do something to kind of earn some money as I work through college, I wanted a job where maybe I could get some homework done and sit at the library. Mm-hmm. But all they had available was the tutoring center. Uh-huh. They said, well, you could go tutor math. So I thought, well, maybe I could do that. So I'll try it out. And it worked so well that even after I transferred to UNM, I continued to work 20 hours a week in Santa Fe, which was difficult, but I managed.
Nice.
So I guess I was kind of teaching for, 8 years before I really took it on as a profession.
Okay. And my follow-up question to you is, as a TRiO professional, do you consider yourself to be an educator of sorts?
Oh, definitely. And, I would say 80% of my contact time with students is spent in academic development. Mm-hmm. So we're doing math all the way from general math all the way through calculus, because that's one of the things that really can hold students back in canceling their math courses. Mm-hmm. And we know that if you want to do more school, you often have to take more math. So,
yeah. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, Ed, we're going to take a quick music break. Because we still don't have the capability to call you back, we'll give us a call right back in about 10 minutes, I would say, in approximately 10 minutes. So we're going to take a quick music break, everybody, and we'll be back with more with Mr. Ed Worden from the TRiO Santa Fe Community College. We're going to talk more about TRiO and more about his involvement with the TRiO New Mexico Association. So, Ed, give us a call right back, man.
We'll do one.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first song you'll be hearing is Supernatural by King.
That was a scary track.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you were just listening to A Nightmare on My Street by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, a.k.a. Will Smith, from the 1988 album. I don't remember what that album was called, but interestingly enough, I used to have that CD back in the day. So if you're an 80s baby or you were born in the 70s, you probably recall that song. Right before then, we were listening to... Who was we listening to? We were listening to the Google Dolls.
There you go.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't Fear the Reaper.
Don't Fear the Reaper. And before then, you were listening to King, Supernatural. Nice. All right, back to you, DJ JMR.
Well, thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. We still have Mr. Ed Worden from the Santa Fe Community College TRiO Student Support Services Program and current president-elect of TRiO New Mexico. Ed, thank you again very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna keep heading to the now more deeper questions about TRiO, and eventually we'll get to that the association questions for you. So I have to ask, what was it that eventually led you to TRiO?
Well, what happened was while I was working at the tutoring center,
mm-hmm.
I was working with a lot of students from all over the campus, but I worked with a core group of TRiO students. And they would bring in their participation sheets and have me sign them so that they could get credit for
mm-hmm.
having come to a tutor. And I started to develop a relationship with TRiO and its students and the staff members there. So when it turned out that the TRiO director had to retire, step down, that position was actually occupied by the director of the tutoring center at the same time temporarily while they searched for a full-time director.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to be kind of in the middle of these two groups of students, right? The kind of more traditional students
mm-hmm.
and then a core group of TRiO students. And so that's really how I got close to TRiO.
Oh, okay.
And so I just enjoyed the work so much that I wanted to work for TRiO full-time.
Nice.
Right on.
Well, Ed, you had a brief experience with the TRiO Upward Bound. Can you tell us about this experience?
Well, yeah, and actually it wasn't that brief. I worked for them for 2 summers during their summer program in Leadville, Colorado, actually Colorado Mountain College.
Nice.
Leadville campus or Timberline campus it's called. And it's pretty exciting. It's up there at 10,000 feet next to 2 of the tallest mountains in Colorado.
Uh-huh.
And the kids are just amazing. They're all really hardworking, and they were really inspiring. So I kind of got it as a summer job because I'm a 10-month employee with TRiO Student Support Services here in Santa Fe. And so I thought, hey, these kids have had such an impact, I should go back. In fact, it was my dad who said to me, if you go and do this for 1 summer, you'll remember those kids for the rest of your life. But if you go for 2 summers, they'll remember you for the rest of theirs. And that really stuck with
nice.
Thinking, I want to have a connection to these kids. And in fact, one of them moved out a few months later, and so I still have connected with him.
Nice. Right on.
Now, do you find this trend with your SSS students? And well, you've worked with SSS in Upper Bound, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find this trend happening as you graduate your SSS students and they move in, they move away, they come in, they go here and go there? Do you find that you keep this rapport with the students?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, we have a new arrangement with New Mexico Highlands University University of New Mexico in the Institute of American Indian Arts, where students from SFCC who graduate with their associate's degree can complete a bachelor's on campus at SFCC. So not only do I have that connection with the students, I still see them. They're still in the halls and in the cafeteria, and so I get to have a real relationship with them all the way through their bachelor's degree, which is really something that a lot of community college SSS programs don't get.
Excellent.
Right on. Now, Ed, talking more about the Student Support Services Program, can you tell us about, on your perspective, what is the difference between, because we have several SSS programs all over the state. What's the difference with yours? What sets you apart from other SSS programs?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty unique at the community college here in Santa Fe because we are the only public institution of higher education in the city. Mm-hmm. So, in Albuquerque you've got some choice. In fact, even in Las Vegas you have some choice because you have Highlands and you have Luna Community College. Mm-hmm. But here in Santa Fe, with the exception of some real satellite offices for the different universities, we're the only public option. So we get students from all over Santa Fe and northern New Mexico. Most of them are non-traditional. Well, I shouldn't say most. I should say many of them are non-traditional age. So we really get this incredible diversity that makes us really special because we have students from different age groups, different ethnic backgrounds, all making.
And how long have you worked with the SSS program?
Well, full time, I've been there since January 2011, and of course, I've been there with them tutoring since we got TRiO at Santa Fe Community College. Close to 10 years ago now.
Now I know that with the SSS program here, and at least in my time with SSS as a coordinator, we offered multiple workshops for the students for a variety of reasons. Is there any particular workshop that you find that appeals or attracts a lot of your students on campus? SSS students anyway?
Financial aid.
Okay.
Bottom line is financial aid is one of the things that holds students back from finishing a degree. And not having those financial resources in place should not stop any of these students from pursuing their goals. So that's probably one of our best attended workshops. Students need to know how to apply for scholarships, how that affects their financial aid, and what they can do to increase their competitiveness in scholarships.
Right. I find it really interesting that the financial aid workshop draws most of the population or attendance to the workshop because we, being a high school focused program, of course we pump it often. We always talk about financial aid, scholarships, etc., etc. So I find it interesting that even at the college level, you're still finding a lot of students who need the financial education or literacy to understand what it's like to continue to complete those scholarships, apply for financial aid or your FAFSA, and really kind of immune them to the terminology even at the collegiate level. I find that really interesting.
Well, and as you know, financial literacy is a component of our grants.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we're obligated to help students understand because it is very complicated, even for us. So it's something that students have to get right because if they don't, then that could prevent them from being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Ed, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to now talk about your involvement with the association, the newly minted association. Just recently changed its name because it had a long name. Can you remind me what that name was?
Yeah, the name was New Mexico West Texas Association of Student Assistance Programs.
Right, and that new name now is TRiO New Mexico. You currently serve as the president-elect of that association. Can you tell us a little bit, what is this association all about?
Well, the association is a collection of TRiO professionals from all around the state of New Mexico who work with each other to advance the cause of TRiO programs, which is to provide equal access to education for all people. And we work to strengthen that advocacy, but also to strengthen the professional skills of our members.
All right, right on.
Well, and let me ask this, Ed. Last week, we interviewed Tara Grant, who's the director for SSS at Arizona State. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
And she talked about her experiences working as a president and her association and I forget what the association that she's currently with in the Arizona, California, and those conglomerate states.
Yeah.
But she talked about her experiences working as a president in SWASAP as well as in her current position. And she said that she really compelled as many members, as many professionals to get involved because of the information and the education she learned in her experiences. Is that something that she made the statement? I paraphrase. She said that she realized she didn't know much about TRiO and the movement because, without this experience, she felt that it added to her knowledge within TRiO. Would you share the same opinion?
Absolutely. That's exactly right on. And I think everybody has that kind of experience where if they don't fully get the history behind TRiO, then they might not understand why we are so excited about the work we do. But once they understand where TRiO comes from, how it works, it just really energizes people to make it work. TRiO works, as we know.
Yeah, yeah.
Ed, what is maybe one or just a few things that you could highlight in your experiences working in the administration parts of the state? What have been a few experiences that have really stuck out and just said, you know what, this is the movement I want to be a part of?
Yeah, I still remember my first spring meeting with the association, and it was down in El Paso, and it was an amazing time. And so many workshops were presented and speakers were brought in to talk to folks about where TRiO comes from, about the historical premise for having a TRiO movement, which is part of a larger civil rights and really a human rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out there were so many other people out there who felt the same way I did about what's fair and how important education is, there was no turning back. That was the association that I wanted to be a part of and support.
And
guys like you.
Appreciate that. Likewise.
For a lot of for people listening, if there are any current members listening, I share my experience with you as far as being the treasurer for what was New Mexico, West Texas a long time ago, and really the motivation, the drive for people to serve TRiO programs. I mean, it's just, I find it unparalleled anywhere else. I mean, that's to say that TRiO New Mexico, or even either other TRiO associations, they just have this passion of serving. And what would you say to those that are thinking about becoming a member? What advice would you give them?
Oh, well, you have to become a member. You have to participate because you have skills that will help others. You have supportive energy that will help others. If we can serve, we have to serve.
Yeah.
We're obligated, I think. I'm committed and obligated to doing whatever I can to promote the success of all of us. And
right.
So I know you did that as treasurer, and I'm going to do my best to do that, and I know all the members do contribute in their way, their unique skills. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage people join. There are going to be a lot of professional development opportunities for you. You're going to have some great networking opportunities, and you are going to become an integral part of the TRiO movement worldwide, really.
Fantastic. And just kind of, we're going to go with this last question. We may have some more follow-ups. We're close to running out of time. We still have about 6 minutes, so we're good. Now, you being the president-elect of TRiO, New Mexico, you follow, of course, the news that's going on with the government, government relations, Council of Opportunity and Education, and how our lobbyists are communicating with Washington, D.C. How has the government shutdown that happened nearly a month ago, has that impacted TRiO any?
Well, it hasn't impacted TRiO directly the way that it impacted so many government workers and so many government programs and people who depend on those programs. It didn't impact TRiO programs the way it impacted veterans, for example. Luckily, TRiO programs are forward funded, which means the allocation of money was already there. So we were pretty confident that they would reopen the government and be prepared to talk about future budgets before our money ran out. But it speaks to the real state of priorities that we're not prioritizing education right at the top.
Right. And I think there's a lot to be said for especially education, where it finds itself kind of in a continuous state of crisis, where if we're not adequately preparing our teachers, not adequately preparing TRiO, not adequately preparing, there's a lot of kind of that constant theme of not being able to adequately prepare education overall for our students. Do you find this to be true?
I do, and you mentioned the Council on Opportunity in Education, COE, which is TRiO's, well, it's an overarching connection and network, but one of its fundamental functions is to lobby for the financial support for programs like TRiO that work. And it's a shame that we have to have a lobbyist, but we have to compete for education's role right at the top. It has to be a priority.
Yeah.
Ed, do you feel that that TRiO programs in conjunction with COE, do you feel that we are capable of competing with the direction of education and the political direction that this country is going, with all of the hot topics, whether it be employment, education, all the other things that are being discussed right now? Do you feel that we really have a voice and that we have a chance for sustainability in the next coming years?
Oh, I definitely do. And something that's interesting is that because of TRiO's history, it's the case that we're coming into an age where more people are going to know about TRiO than ever before. And we're going to have more influence on the way people allocate their finances at the top level and the way they prioritize at the personal level. And I think that TRiO's future is strong. I know that successful colleges are doing what TRiO does because TRiO works.
Can you say that one more time? Just that last piece.
I feel like that's how I feel. That successful colleges are implementing strategies that TRiO has proven work, like more support, more counseling for financial aid, more academic advising, more personal relationships. Those are the things that make TRiO work, and our colleges are listening. They're beginning to listen.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely agree with you, Ed. On that note, I did have one final question for you. You as president-elect of TRiO, New Mexico, you have the opportunity to talk to a lot of senators, representatives, locally and also nationally. Has there been a lot of talk with the senators, or have you been in contact with them, or are you kind of in the beginning stages of that? Where are you as far as being president-elect and contacting those representatives?
Yeah, right. So our president currently is really the point person for our organization, Alicia Salazar.
Right.
She's the director down at New Mexico State University for the talent search program there. And she's doing a great job of being the voice for TRiO New Mexico right now. And I'm trying to learn as much as possible before that changing of the guards.
Yeah.
But I really look forward to being the voice of TRiO, because it's not going to be my voice, it's going to be our voice, and I'm going to make sure that when I speak, I'm speaking for the priorities of all of us.
Right. Fantastic. Well, Ed, we are at the top of the hour. Ed, thank you so much for being part of Let's Talk TRiO. Thank you so much for your interview, sir. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. It was wonderful to be with you tonight.
Excellent. Thank you,
Ed. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to post, as soon as we can, we're going to post the entire interview on YouTube, somewhere where you can access our audio files, and we'll have, hopefully we'll have Ed come back again to the program. Again, thank you very much, Ed. Is he out?
Thank you all.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Ed. And
Happy Halloween to you guys.
hopefully we can have you on the program in the future.
Yeah, next year. Let's do it.
All right, fantastic. All right, that was Ed Worden from the TRiO Santa Fe Community College Student Support Services Program and current
President-elect of TRiO, New Mexico. All right, well, Rod, we're at the top of the hour.
Yes, we are. And before we play our next song, I do want to encourage all of our ENMU Upward Bound participants to give us a call in and share your testimony about how Upward Bound has impacted you and how you have been influenced by the services. I would even encourage all of our prior participants from previous years. I don't care if it goes back to 1967, whenever the program was first started. 67 to 68, I believe it was.
I think it's 68.
We were the second program in the state of New Mexico to be developed. So anyway, so one of those years, anyone who's participated in any TRiO program, please call in and just share with the audience how TRiO has impacted you. We would love to hear it. We would love to encourage you as well as all of our listeners.
Absolutely. And that number to call in is 575-562-4083. You can hit us up also on our Facebook at Let's Talk TRiO, and if you can leave us a message there, that would also work. So for now, DJ Brother Rod, what do we got on deck?
Right now, I'd first like to say that you are listening to Hound Waves Portalis, and we're going to play a little old school, because you know we like our old school songs. So this song is Knocks Me Off My Feet by Stevie Wonder from his 1976 album, Keys of Life.
Nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you were just listening to The Beginning is the End is the Beginning by Smashing Pumpkins, and prior to that, you were listening to Grave Digger by Dave Matthews. And before then, you were listening to the legendary Stevie Wonder with his hit song, what was it? Knocks Me Off My Feet.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. We are at 15 minutes past the hour.
Yes.
Here on Let's Talk TRiO, only on Hound Waves Radio. So, Rod, this would be the kind of like the time for you to do not the COE update. Sorry, your
fun facts.
Your fun facts, yeah, fun facts.
I would like to remind all of our ENMU Upward Bound participants to make sure that you are calling in. Could you please provide us that contact number, DJ JMR?
Absolutely, you can call in at 575-562-4083, and we'll put you here live on the air.
Now, please remember, if you want that customized special lunch, you have to call in so we can do that for this week. Also, a reminder for our parent meeting Tuesday, October 29th.
Yeah.
We're having our college night in Anthropology 110. Yes, DJ JMR has done a significantly wonderful job about
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
garnering all these lovely institutions to speak to our students. So please, parents and students, make sure that you stop through Anthropology Room 110 Tuesday, October 29th. And that starts at 6 p.m. and it'll run to about 8 p.m. So please make sure you stop through. All right.
Fantastic.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with our fun facts. And I just have to play just a little bit of Thrill in the background as we have our fun facts. Do you mind, DJ JMR?
Absolutely not. I mean, in order to keep this kind of the entertainment part going, right, we have to have some lively music playing in the background.
I mean, just
it's only fair. That's all I'm going to say to that.
I mean, and we just may have to play Thriller twice because you know it's just one of those classics. You cannot have a Halloween celebration without Michael Jackson Thriller. I mean,
you just cannot.
Nah. Anyway, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, our fun facts plural for this evening. We're gonna put DJ JMR on the spot as always.
Yeah.
Carnivorous animals will not eat another animal that has been blank by blank. That was so much information.
That was a lot. You should repeat it one more time.
Absolutely.
I need to get that.
A carnivorous animal will not eat another animal that has been hit by blank. Kind of gave a little extra on this one.
That has not been hit by blank. Huh. Would they avoid the animal if it was struck by a bullet? A gun.
Try again.
If it was struck by a rock, I will say.
Try lightning.
Lightning?
Yes,
really?
yes.
Oh my god. I guess today's not my day. Usually I'm very close to these.
You do.
I was way off on this.
Well, you must disclose to the audience that you didn't come on my end and look at my questions this time or my fun facts. So obviously you wouldn't know these, right?
Right.
All right, so our next one. Mr. Rogers was an ordained blank.
Ordained. Hey, the word ordained, it goes with a minister or priest.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Mr. Rogers was an ordained minister. Okay, here's a history question for you. Let's see if we can get this
history
one.
question. All right.
In 1825, blank became blank.
Blank became blank. Well, that's not a lot of information. A lot of things happened in 1825.
I'll give you a little bit more. In 1825, Upper Peru became blank.
Upper Peru became a state. No, a country. No, not even close.
What state? Can you give me some names?
Okay, I don't know. A union? I mean, they became recognized by the international community? I don't know. What?
They became Bolivia.
Oh, they became Bolivia. Oh, man. I'm blushing now.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, let's try one more. The highest point in Pennsylvania is lower than the lowest point in blank. I'll give you a hint. In a particular state.
That's very helpful. We have 50 states. And
go for it, buddy.
All right.
JMR, you can do it, baby. You can do it.
Well, my guess, it would have to be New York. No. It's a city though, right? It is a location in the United States.
Yeah, it is a state in the United States. Let's go with states. See, I'm narrowing it down.
Oh, okay. So a state. I'm gonna guess New Mexico.
You're pretty close in the ballpark. It is your future home.
Colorado?
Yes.
Wow.
I'll repeat that again.
Awesome.
The highest point in Pennsylvania is lower than the lowest point in Colorado. Wow. Or AKA Colorado.
All right.
That'll conclude our fun facts for today. I do have an update from COE, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, sir.
JMR, and then I'll pass it back to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to do this as professionally as I can. All right. The late Wednesday evening, Senate leadership reached a compromise deal to reopen the government and avert an economic default. This deal was swiftly passed in the Senate and then begrudgingly affirmed by House Republican leadership with help from the House Democratic caucus. In addition to the funding the government at current levels through January 15th, this legislation also raised the debt ceiling through February 7th. The legislation also virtually eliminated the threat of a future default by requiring a vote of disapproval by Congress to raise the debt ceiling in the future. If such a vote occurred, the president would veto this action. Then 2/3 majority of each chamber would be required to override the veto. Besides these important deadlines, the legislation called for the convening of a budget conference committee to establish a long-term spending plan by December 13th. This convening represents our best opportunity to replace the harmful sequester and restore the 5.23% cut experienced this past year. In my commentary / editorial, this will be very, very helpful. Therefore, all TRiO supports must continue to emphasize the harm sequestration has caused your program and students. Additionally, the entire TRiO community, particularly those represented by members of the conference committee, must push their legislators to negotiate a new budget deal that calls for adjustments in entitlement and limited tax reforms. COE will distribute more specific talking points in the days ahead. In the meantime, please continue to outreach to your legislators on behalf of TRiO. In particular, be sure to express your thanks to those Republican senators and Republican House representatives who voted in favor of last week's debt ceiling agreement. Contact information for the legislators is available, and we'll leave that contact information on our website, but it's www.contactingthecongress.org. Again, that's www.contactingthecongress.org.
Right, fantastic. Thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod, for that COE update. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to wrap up this program. Thank you all very much for tuning in. We had a wonderful guest. I would just want to give a special shout out to Mr. Ed Worden for coming into the radio program today. I also just want to send a special thank you to our listeners for listening in, for making Let's Talk TRiO just another radio program that you love to listen to here at Hound Waves Radio. Keep it tuned. We have several other programs coming up later on this evening, and as well as later on this week. Far more programs to come. Keep it here on Hound Waves. We're going to leave you with a couple songs, and then we're out. So for Rod, any last words?
Thank you again, President-elect Ed Worden, for dropping by and gracing us with your voice and with your presence. We really appreciate you chiming in or calling in to represent TRiO. You are doing an excellent job as our President-elect, and we want to congratulate you on your position as well as your time with TRiO. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening again. We really appreciate all of your listeners. We had a whopping, I won't even give our number. I won't give it this time, but we had an increase in our listeners, and we really, really appreciate you. Please continue to keep it locked and listen every Sundays, 6 to 7:30 Mountain Time. We enjoy you all, and we hope you have a great time listening.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, DJ Brother Rod. Well, if you just keep an ear out for us, guys, we'll be posting our information on Facebook on Let's Talk TRiO. Also, I just want to send another special shout out to DJ Indian Burn for having me on his program this past week. It was a fun time. So 8 in the morning was probably threw me a little off, but he's always on his game, and he was very gracious, a very gracious host. So thank you very much, DJ Indian Burn. With that, guys, we're out. Thank you very much for having us as part of your Sunday.